happened during the last few months of our national hero's life? What were the places he was brought to, and who were the people he encountered? Let us trace the footsteps of Dr. Rizal's last year with the help of Mr. Francis Kristoffer Pasion, Senior History Researcher of the NHCP and the young historian behind the Twitter account Indio Historian.
We begin our story in July of 1896 when covertly a representative of a fledgling underground movement known as the Katipunan sent their emissary Pio Valenzuela to seek counsel from Jose Rizal. This is with regards to the feasibility of an armed revolution. Rizal had been in exile in the middle of nowhere in Dapitan, Zamboanga del Norte for more than 4 years. For earning the ire of the powers that be for writing his 2 novels and several articles critical of the colonial government. We know for a fact that Rizal felt so strongly about the things that were happening to Filipinos because these things that were happening felt very close to home. When he was in Spain, Rizal's family faced eviction together with other tenants in Calamba in 1887 when they challenged the ownership of the land from the Dominicans. They were forcefully evicted in 1890 with their possessions thrown to the streets. In 1891, due to a mere allegation of theft, Rizal's mother, Chodora Alonso, was imprisoned for 2.5 years and afterwards made to walk 50 kilometers from Santa Cruz to Calamba. We also know that with the situation not changing despite his friend expat's efforts, he had already mulled over the possibility of an armed resistance, but with the specific caveat that it must be grounded on a moral cause and done without hate, but only in love and pursuit of freedom. We know this based on his narrative of Crisostomo Ibarra in his novels, who returned to take vengeance against a corrupt system only to fail because, I quote, "The glory of saving a country cannot be given to one who has contributed to its ruin." As such, when Pio Valenzuela came to seek Rizal's advice, just more than 2 months before the revolution broke out, his answers were simple, as if he had already accepted the inevitability of the revolution. First, that arms and support of the wealthy must be secured, and that if discovered, better to fight than to escape. And if the wealthy aren't supportive, keep them neutral at all times. All things come to an end. Thanks to his friend's efforts, his exile would end. Rizal was bound to serve as a military physician to Cuba, another Spanish colony waging their own revolt for independence. Thanks to a parishioner who overheard the existence of the secret organization and told these to the Spanish friars, the Katipunan was soon uncovered, and soon an all-out revolution was waged beginning August 23 of 1896. At this time, Rizal had no idea. Together with his sister Narcisa and his love interest Josephine Bracken, his ship left from Dapitan to Spain, and his ship would leave Manila Bay on September 3, 1896. Rizal would overhear the conversations going on around his ship regarding the revolution raging back home and lots of executions of Filipinos who were captured by the Spanish colonial government. As the ship neared Spain, the ship's captain had him under guard in his room, and as soon as he arrived in Barcelona, he was sent to prison in a castle. The next day, he would be deported home. Despite efforts of his friends to intervene, even attempting to involve the British government when the ship docked in Singapore, all these efforts came in vain as the ship Rizal was in was a Spanish military ship and that a civilian authority like the British had no jurisdiction over it. Rizal arrived at the port of Manila on November 3, 1896 and was immediately taken to Fort Santiago. However, he was made to wait for 12 days in his cell before charges were read to him. It was only on December 6 that he faced the military tribunal and was made to choose from the 106 pre-selected military officials as his defense counsel. He chose Luis Taviel de Andrade, brother to Jose Taviel de Andrade, Rizal's friend and security detail. Rizal was not allowed to cross-examine the witnesses against him. But scholars agree that while following the legal formalities and processes, the trial was done in haste. In fact, many of the documents needed for the trial to push through would only be submitted completely in April 1898, long after Rizal was dead. Thanks to the request of the Spanish friars, the Governor-General Ramon Blanco was also replaced by Camilo Polavieja, former head of the Spanish colonies of Puerto Rico and Cuba. As soon as he arrived on December 13, 1896, Polavieja endorsed Rizal's case to the Auditor General de Guerra. On the defense stand, Jose Rizal denied all the charges that he led the ongoing revolution, but he stopped short of condemning it entirely, saying that it was just premature. On December 28th, the death sentence was finally confirmed. The next day, it was read to Rizal at 6 a.m. Meanwhile, his mother met him at his cell. Both wept, and while having been allowed to embrace each other, Rizal had to be contented with kissing her hand. But there was no time to lose. For Teodora Alonso, taking matters into her own hands after meeting her son, immediately sent a letter signed by her to plead with the Governor-General for her son's release. The letter would be ignored. In his last 24 hours, Rizal would be hounded by priests who wanted to ensure that Rizal would die a Catholic by retracting his works that seemed to reject the Church's teachings. A retraction statement was released thereafter, causing debates that would go on even to this day. The Katipunan even sent word that Rizal was but to say the word and they would break in to help him escape. But Rizal, accepting his fate, refused the offer. Rizal would soon be visited by close relatives. He took time to write the chosen members of his family and close friends, and the words spoken and unspoken showed regret for the time cut short and hope that their lives would carry on even without him. To Ferdinand Blumentritt, his Austrian confidant, he wrote, "When you receive this letter, I shall be dead. I shall be shot tomorrow at 7 o'clock, but I am innocent of the crime of rebellion, and I am going to die with a clear conscience. Farewell, my best friend, my dearest friend, and never think ill of me." To his brother Pasiano, "Now that I am about to die, it is to you that I write last to tell you how sorry I am to leave you alone in life, bearing all the burden of the family and our aged parents. I know you have suffered a lot for my sake. I am sorry." 6 of his sisters, a niece and a nephew, were also allowed to visit him at his cell. To Trinidad, Rizal bequeathed a small alcohol burner, upon which he whispered in her ear in English, "There is something in it." A small paper with scribbles of a long untitled poem was found inserted in it, which would come down to us as the famous poem. The title would be Mi Ultimo Adios. To his father, Francisco Mercado, he wrote, "Forgive me the sorrow with which I repay the anxieties and toil you underwent to give me an education. I did not want this nor expected of it. Farewell, Father, farewell." Before Rizal's long walk to Bagumbayan prior to his execution, on the day itself, an informal ceremony marrying Rizal with a weeping Josephine Bracken commenced, after which Rizal gave Josephine his copy of Thomas A. Kempis's devotional classic, The Imitation of Christ. From Fort Santiago to Luneta, a long detachment and a battalion accompanied by Rizal at 6:30 in the morning. In quiet serenity, Rizal remained resolute, refusing to even be shot at the back. And as if to show his last resistance upon being shot, he awkwardly twisted his body as he fell to the ground, right side. They say that in the last moments of our lives, we see in stark clarity the things that matter to us. And we see this in Rizal, in that despite all of his achievements and the huge advocacies he fought for, he was never ashamed to value what mattered to him. His family, his friends, and his home and his nation. Love of country is vague to many of us, and some of us would even go so far as to be cynical at the thought of giving love to perhaps an ambiguous idea such as the nation. But in all of our nation's successes and failings, Rizal had faith that long before he is gone, the pursuit of justice and freedom which he began would carry on, carried by the young whose dreams and idealism would be rooted to the social realities of today. On the occasion of Rizal Day, we remember his legacy and the insistent dream he exemplified that lives in every Filipino heart. To see you one day, jewel of the Sea of the Orient, without wrinkles, without tears, and without stains of shame.